Bum, 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum, 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 bum. All right, I'm in a train in East Taiwan. Unfortunately, we don't have very good public transportation in the U.S. like here, right? And so I want to talk about a couple times where my car gave me a lot of stress. Ever since moving to Phoenix, Arizona, I've gotten too many flat tires, more than I want to count. And so, last year, when I finally got to go on a date, I showed up 3 hours early because I thought for sure my tire was going to blow, some other emergency was going to happen. And I wanted to make sure, it was my first date in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix is not very it's not very easy to meet people there. I had paid a friend good money to help me with this, and so I didn't want to miss. It would have been a very big bummer if I missed it, right? And so I drove to the area 3 hours early. Granted, I got to sightsee in a different area of town that I don't normally go to, but it just goes to show the amount of uncertainty that a car will introduce to your life, right? When I first interviewed for Glendale Community College, I showed up to the campus 4 hours before the interview. I mean, I wanted to take a personal tour of the campus anyway, and then I found a place to sit down and write some computer games and to talk to some of the students there about about my area of expertise, and got a chance to network a little bit. But if I were taking a train just like this one to GCC or to the restaurant where I met the girl, I would have given myself an extra 20, 30 minutes at best, right? Maybe not even, right? There's just a whole lot less uncertainty with the train. If I were in Japan, if you're late, if your train is delayed in Japan, they actually give you a note to excuse yourself, right? Actually, Japan had a major train crash because the driver was so concerned about getting in trouble for being late, and the train derailed and crashed into an apartment building. I think this was about 20 years ago, right? Um, but short of that, trains are a lot more. Don't add nearly as much uncertainty. I'd rather the train be a couple seconds late, right, than to worry about flat tires and worry about car troubles. One time, I had gone to a public library in Phoenix. It was 115 degrees, and there's this one spot near a shade that I wanted to park at, and I waited about 10 minutes for whoever was done with that spot to come out of the building. And as he's pulling out of I've been waiting there for 10 minutes. I really wanted that spot because I was driving a really old car with the interior was already falling apart. I didn't want to put it under the sun again. As the driver pulled out of his parking spot, somebody else was trying to steal this. So after I had waited 10 minutes, and I rushed to pull in there, and I almost got into an accident doing that. See, I don't have to think about that here, right? People are also a whole lot nicer here. One day, I was waiting at a crosswalk, and so I pulled into a store to wait it out. And back in the U.S., I can't imagine trying to do that. This store security would give you heck, right? Even if it's 110 degrees outside, trying to wait for a crosswalk inside a store, I don't think that would go too well in the U.S., right? But more importantly, I really hate having to go to places hours early just because I might get into car trouble, and I haven't had to think about that. I went to a few other events here in Taiwan that were very important to that. If I had to drive to, I probably would have showed up hours early again. Leave a comment. Have you ever gone to an event hours early? Because it's kind of funny because I teach at Glendale Community College, and my first day of class, I told the students how important it is to not make excuses, and I told them if it's really important, you will protect it, right? So, for example, I recently went to some important event and I showed up 3 hours early because just in case I had a flat tire, or even if I got into a fender bender, I would still make it, right? I could call an Uber or whatever, right? So I want you to treat your homework like that. And one of my students instantly recognized what kind of event that was. And after class, came to ask some questions, and he asked, "How was your date?" And it gave me a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that he could relate to that. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.